This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
It's the Dirty Laundry Game-Worn Hockey Podcast.
We're old school, right? We wash our own dirty laundry.
The name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back.
I refuse to be judged by a grown man wearing a hockey jersey.
Game on! Game on!
We are back with another episode of the Dirty Laundry Game-Worn Hockey Podcast, episode 122. Wade Hampton, Paul Rank, and Dana. And I should have asked you before we started the show, how exactly do you pronounce your last name?
It is Apfelblat.
I thought that's what it was, but I did not want to screw it up. But Dana's joining us this evening to talk about her super cool collection on it caught my eye from a post, and I reached out. So excited to have you on and talk about that, and we'll get all to that here in a minute. We have to start this evening, of course, with the drink. It's snowy here. We're expecting 5+ inches of snow. There's a bunch of hockey on TV. Pulled out the Belfour because that's an excellent bourbon for the old fashioned. If you haven't got that, please do. It is again a little bit pricier bottle, between $50 and $80, but it is excellent. So cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank our multiple sponsors. We started doing that last week, so we thank our multiple sponsors, starting with Mitch for the Drink Your Face Off line of barware and clothing. You might still be able to get last minute Christmas gifts from Mitch with the shipping and that kind of stuff. So please reach out to him if you want any of that. And also Public Display of Collection. Patrick Bruneau just came on board. We announced that all last week. I know thank you of the ones of you who listened all the way through the podcast and then commented online with the nameplate. We will do that drawing at the end of the show. If you're listening on audio and you want to really see it well, is once you're done listening to audio, go to the video. You'll be able to go to the end and actually see the live drawing on the show. We will announce the winners. Will be two winners for those right at the end of the show. Paul, you have a San Jose update for the Expo.
Oh, yes. We're still on for January 31st, and that is Cuda-Mania. And I get yelled at whenever I call it WrestleMania, something like copyright violation. But we are going to be moving the expo from Calder's into the concourse at TechCU. So we're actually going to be there, right off the rink. Expo's going to run, set up early, very early. Expo from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. We have to be out of there at 2 p.m. Partly because they haven't announced it yet, but they're going to announce shortly the wrestling guest, which is John Van Dam. And I know Wade's hurt.
Rob Van Dam.
Oh, Rob, not John. Yes, not John. So we can edit that out later.
Yeah.
So, yeah. John sounds better, but so Rob Van Dam, and they're going to be, he's going to do a signing before the game, but he's also going to be doing a private signing before that, and that's going to be limited to 100 tickets at $100 each, and that's part of the reason why we need to be out of there by 2:00 so they can have this private signing. Unless we all want to buy tickets to see Rob or John, it's and I have no idea really who he is, so we need Wade's help for that. Other thing which might happen, if the teams have a morning skate, and they might bypass it because they're playing the previous night, we will be in the rink there for it and can watch the morning skate during the expo, which I think would be a cool little feature, which not too many expos have done.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to we still have some tables left. Mitch and I have to redo the map and the layout. Mason and a few others from the Barracuda will work with us on that. We may have Fireball Cove open, which is the hope, so we can have a bartender there and actually put a couple tables inside Fireball Cove right next to the ice. For those who haven't heard me talk about the Barracuda games, Fireball Cove, which is now the Cove because Fireball is no longer a sponsor, is an area behind one of the goals where it's just an open seating area, which they now rent out for most games. It used to be that no one was paying for it, renting out, so we could sit there. Most games would be right behind the goal, but now it's being rented out. But we should have that for the expo, for the the actual display, and then we have the theater box that night, which is up top in the corner, which is a big suite, which should be a lot of fun. So looking forward to it. LA is coming along well. That one, and same with Vegas. I'm going to start promoting a little bit more. If we get too many more people, we might have to add another room. Ideally would like to keep it in the one room because it's nice and compact, and we get a lot of tables in there. When I was out there a couple weeks ago for a trip, I was shocked at how big the room really is. Doesn't look that big in photos. So that's it for your Expo update, and looking forward to the San Jose one, and we'll push the details on the changes out very, very shortly.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Just a couple auctions. I didn't find many other ones, but NHL Auctions has a couple going on. One, they have the Edmonton Oilers pregame warm-up tribute jerseys for Adam Henrique's 1,000 NHL game worn back on October 21st. Those go till next Wednesday, December 17th. And then also it is the 100th anniversary, Winnipeg 100th anniversary Manitoba Moose jerseys. The Jets have those up on NHL Auctions as well. So those go till December 21st. Those are the only auctions I have, and some sharp-looking jerseys out there if you want to check those out. A couple other things. This came across my feed. Oilers insider Tom Gazzola said the NHL is planning a league-wide jersey program like the NBA called the City Edition. It's supposedly every team that's at least, again, and Tom Gazzola I've kind of read into his stuff, is an Oilers insider and knows his stuff well, but they were talking about a City Edition thing. So I'll be curious to see when we hear about that and kind of what the designs and stuff are, if that does come to pass. But the rumors seem pretty solid. We'll just say that. The other thing that dropped today, and the first pictures of it, or of them I saw, I looked at both and goes, yep, those are stupid. But then we actually dug into all the details, and honestly, they're pretty good. Let me get into that. We'll start with it's the Stadium Series jerseys, both the Lightning and Boston Bruins. And it kind of came, because I didn't know when they were actually going to announce it. It kind of came out of the blue, and they hit hard. First, I saw some leak stuff early this morning before it became official, and I was like, the Tampa one was just okay. But let me we'll share this here. This is the Tampa Bay Lightning one first. When I saw it from the front and just saw TBL and couldn't see some of the detailing, I thought that was pretty stupid. What was your guys' first feeling, Dana? I'll actually start with you.
I was super unimpressed when I saw it initially, but like you, when I saw the details, when I saw, I guess when you get to it, like the detailing on the arms, the skulls, I think are really cool, but just the TBL on the front was disappointing.
Yeah.
And Wade?
Yeah, I mean, I saw that one today when I was at work. Somebody just sent me just the picture of it, and I was busy, and I kind of like looked at it and I go, wow, that sucks. And same thing, like once I got into it and I saw the sleeves, that the crushed inlay in there, the numbers look good, the colorway looks good. I like the shoulder patch. I mean, it definitely, some of the touches definitely put it together. As far as from a distance, it's kind of disappointing. But here overall, like I said, I mean, like once you kind of dug into it, it climbs a little bit. I like the colorway. I like the blues that they used. So overall, I think it ends up being a much more solid jersey than from the first picture.
Yeah, and I'll get to you, Paul, here in just a second. I want to talk about a couple things on the jersey. And both teams are doing this. We'll get to Boston's description here in a second. But they're introducing a new color. In the case of Tampa, they're introducing sky blue. It says the newest addition to the Lightning color palette adds a modern, clean brightness reflective of an outdoor game under the Tampa Bay sky. while the Bolts blue jersey base honors the historic game being played. The other really sharp thing that, again, with the initial pictures I saw, it was hard to pick out, is the lightning strikes through the crest. The TBL has lightning through it. And, of course, Tampa, I think, is actually one of the highest lightning strikes per capita anywhere in the world, if I remember correctly. So, Paul, what do you think?
Not a huge fan. I mean, I first saw it. I'm just like, what's that? Just TBL on the front. I do like some of the subtle touches to it. The lightning, which you just mentioned, the stuff in the elbows, on the sleeves. But it's a type of jersey which we'll see how it looks when they put it all together out on the ice. But it's going to be the type of jersey when you get it home and check out all the details. It's really cool, kind of like the Shark Stealth jersey, the older all black ones they had, which had the cool chip wiring and stuff in the shoulder. Elbows. I cannot think tonight. Which I think it's spelled San Jose or something. I can't remember. It's been a while. So I think you'll find stuff like that on these Tampa Bay ones. Why they're playing an outdoor game in Florida, I have no idea. Okay, honestly, why they're playing 2 outdoor games in Florida.
Right.
Totally baffling.
At the end of the day, it's about this. And again, interest, because a lot of people are going to watch and go, I want to see how they're going to pull off an outdoor game, like you said, actually, too, in Florida. The tagging inside the back hem is a tattered battle flag going back to the days of the Jolly Roger. And inside the collar, they have beadwork, or looks like beadwork, for the Pirate Festival. That is a huge piece down there. And then also getting into the arms and the patch, the DeBoss designs they talk about in the arms, the bolt and the skull there is really nice, recognizing the team's season ticket holder base, and then also the shoulder patch design to the Tampa's swashbuckling heritage. I actually hope they use some of those things more often once they're done with this. But I think that is pretty cool. And then let me switch over to Boston here. And honestly, I think let me share this, but I think the bear looks like a pig. It doesn't look like a bear. Let's go right here, and let me zoom in on that a little bit, because I think that actually looks a little small.
Oh, now that you say it, you're right.
Just how ruined
everybody stock for ruining the jersey for me.
Well, you know what? As we look at different of the team jerseys when they do stuff, because like you never look at the Vegas ones the same way, because it looks like it's giving you the double middle finger, and you can never stop seeing that. So I see that, and no offense to the Boston fans or anybody out there, but when I first looked at it, I'm like, why does that look like a pig? But getting into some of the Boston pieces here, that's weird. That's the only picture they put, is that front one. Tampa had all the others.
There's a couple other pictures in there. I found a couple other ones.
Let me reload that page. It's not. Maybe it just didn't load everything. Because, I was like, wait a minute. Where did all the other graphics go?
I'll be right back.
Yep, that is not loading. I'll just have to describe it from other stuff here. I don't know why that is not loading. But some of the other things that they've added to the jersey is there's a bee on the shoulder that has a bear, like the bear claws behind it ripping in. The pants actually have that as well. Black pants with bear claws ripping in and yellow fabric underneath. That, I think, is very sharp. Let's see, what else did they... one piece, Paul, that you pointed out is all the different states that are in the neck.
I don't think that was me. We got to give Wade credit.
Maybe that was Wade for that one. Is the...
I like the slash on the sleeves, which you're not seeing in this photo.
Yeah, let me
unfortunately
stop sharing a minute and see if I can fix that. But I don't know why that won't load correctly. It was earlier, but that's stupid internet.
Yeah, the I liked all the state names from the New England area in the neck. That's a great way to pay homage to the entire region, which I thought was great. The pants are fantastic when you get a picture of them with the bear claw, and I like the colorway of it. It looks like, I mean, Boston's been a pretty fortunate city in the fact that they've gotten so many, outdoor games, and the B is a nice throwback to one of their old jerseys as well. They did it was either one of their heritage jerseys or whatever with the B on the crest in yellow on a black jersey. But I think they did. I think Boston's had a lot of opportunities to like hit home runs, and I don't think they've had a lot that have really failed. I think the one that everybody hated was like the black one with the giant yellow B on it. But beyond that one, they've done really, really a great job. And like the pants on this one are just, I think they're great.
Yeah,
what a touch.
I love that just that bear tear there.
And we did talk about that sunshine. I don't think you've showed the picture of the sleeve, that like sunburst almost kind of put into the sleeve. Yeah,
right there in the picture there.
I think that's another nice touch. I like what the NHL is doing with putting a lot of those in those elbow pieces.
And they're calling it Sunshine Gold. It says they're adding it to the team's classic color palette. Brighter, warmer gold that more closely matches the Florida backdrop. And like I said, I kind of like that they're doing that, even with Boston, because you are in Florida trying to pull this game off, and you want to tie a little bit of back to the sun and stuff there. So kind of a neat thing for sure.
Yeah, I mean the Boston ones I really like.
Dana, what do you think?
It's neat to see just in that image that you've got there, the sun on the arm that I don't think I had seen before. It's the bear claw that I think is the highlight for me. Like, it's a neat touch on the pants that you just don't see generally. But all these Stadium Series jerseys, like there's always all these hidden things that you don't see initially, and it's the details that make them cool.
Yeah.
Paul.
Since you mentioned it's a pig, I just can't stop seeing that. and I think
I'm going to get hate mail from Boston fans now.
Well, we always do. But
well, yeah, true.
I actually think I like it better as a pig than a bear. So it's hopefully that will go over well. I do like the look of them. It's maize, so I have to like it. And it's going to look nice on whatever day they're playing in sunny Florida with rain. Maize versus blue, so it would be a nice looking game. And tangentially, the other night, the Montreal Rangers game was also a blue versus red game.
Yes,
which looked fabulous.
They need to do a lot more of that. Couple the little hem tag also has a sunray emblem on it. The inside collar features acronyms of the 6 New England states, tying the tribute into all the snowbirds that will be in Florida. Again, thinking outside the box is, why did you put these on here? Because we're playing in Florida, and a lot of the northern people go to Florida in the wintertime to stay warmer. So why not do some of those things? And I like some of the more different things and just that thinking outside the box. With that, I mean, it is. I can't wait to watch that game, actually both outdoor games, just to see how it does. The NHL, I say overall though, is gotten very good at doing this, especially when we talked last week about the Olympics and the rink sizing. So the NHL at least knows how to do it every time. But now let's get into all things about Dana. So Dana, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background first and kind of how you got started in hockey and collecting?
Sure. In hockey, I grew up outside Detroit. I was a teenager in the 80s when Steve Yzerman became captain, and I think probably everyone became a hockey fan at that point. We weren't watching hockey at my house, and I started going into my parents' bedroom and watching on like a little TV because I was curious. So that led me to be a Red Wings fan, then went to undergrad at Michigan. Same as Paul, like going to Yost, going to games there. Michigan's a big, hockey was a big deal at that time. So watched hockey. Then I lived in Columbus, but that was when the Red Wings started winning the Stanley Cups. So it was a good time to be a Red Wings fan in Ohio. Been in Cleveland now for almost 25 years, and season ticket holder for the Monsters here in the AHL. So I've been going to those games for 10, 11 years, probably. Didn't do any collecting, didn't know anything about memorabilia, collecting jerseys, just was a hockey fan.
So
until 2018, probably. Go ahead.
Wow, so really not that long.
No.
So when you got your first jersey, what made you do it, or what made you decide, you know what, I think I need one now?
It was at the Monsters games at the time. Their auctions were live on the concourse on paper.
Oh, wow.
So it was, we joked about it. Yeah, it was, there was a table set up with a couple of jerseys out and pens, and you would just, write your bid down. It had to be, increments of $25. And really it would get a little bit full contact times as the time was running out. People would be jockeying for position to be the last one to bid. And it looked fun. And it was the last game of the season that the friend and I, that we go to the games together, she and I both just decided we wanted in on this. And it wasn't about collecting. It was just, I want one of those. Didn't care who the player was, just wanted a jersey. And, both walked out that day wearing jerseys. I'm 5 feet tall, so hockey jerseys are a little hilarious on me, but it was exciting and it was fun. And that was sort of the beginning of the Monsters collection, which is another collection that I have.
And as we know in general across the board, any of us who have either been in auctions or been to games where they're doing auctions like that, especially at the minor league level, those a lot of times go so much higher because the fans get to know the players better, and there's a more connection. So it seems to drive that stuff up. How quickly did you discover that?
Pretty quickly. I think it was the next season that I did my first live auction after a game. And so then the emotion of that, while we were standing around, it was, jersey off the players' backs. Nathan Gerby had signed with the Blue Jackets and was playing in Cleveland, was super popular here. And I wanted one. And that was the first time that I spent more money than I realized I was going to spend, because in that moment I needed it. And that was the beginning of that collection. I have 12 Gerby jerseys now.
Wow.
Across the Monsters and Blue Jackets and other teams.
But it's funny how
that was still, go ahead, Doc.
I was gonna say, it's just funny how that lands sometimes, where you start the first one and then it's like, oh, okay, now there's one over there and there's one over there and there's one over there, and we gotta get you don't realize how many you have till you stop and look.
Yes. I actually had to go count before today. I wondered how many were in the closet, because there's the Monsters jerseys and the Gerby jerseys, and then the Diabetes jerseys that are the primary focus of the collection. And you don't realize how many you have, because in my house, they're in multiple rooms. There's not enough space.
So, and that's why I wanted to have you on tonight, because I'd seen you post about it in one of the groups and reached out, is you do collect jerseys of players who have diabetes. So tell me how you got that started, kind of why that became your focus, and then how you found out in some cases players are diabetic.
Sure. So I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in 2014. Didn't think anything about hockey players who might have diabetes, wasn't on my radar. And then I was watching the AHL All-Star game and heard the announcer say that Corey Conacher, playing for Syracuse, had type 1 diabetes. and I stopped the broadcast, rewound it. Like, wait, there's a pro hockey player with type 1. I had no idea. I didn't know about Max Domi. I didn't know about any of them. And then that jersey, the jersey from the skills competition, went up on the AHL auctions. And so I thought, well, this would be cool. I would like to have, a jersey from a hockey player that has type 1. I bought his jersey, his gloves, and his helmet from the All-Star game that year, because it was all in that auction. And I just thought, oh, this would be cool. I didn't think it was going to be a collection. But then it just seemed like, then I started Googling, and then you realize that there are these guys out there. Like, obviously Clark is the one that people know. But there's a bunch of them out there. I counted today. I have jerseys from 18 different players who have type 1, and there's a bunch that I don't have. So it just started that day with the Conacher in the All-Star game. And then I just started looking.
Now, have you met many of the players that are diabetic? And do they know about this collection?
I have met none of them, though. Gardner here, I think he's going to wind up in Cleveland. He's a Blue Jackets goalie draft pick. So I did see him from the bench. I was on the bench for warmups in his first Monsters bench game last year. So I got to watch him in warmups. I'm looking forward to when he gets done. He's still in his last year of juniors. So hoping that he'll be in Cleveland and we'll actually get the opportunity to see him at season ticket holder events.
And is it, I guess, how do you find out? Just by Googling or I guess, because that's not always something that is probably disclosed that much, really, is it?
It varies. So some of them, guys like Max Domi and Luke Cunnin, are very public about it. They meet with kids. They have them come out before and after games and share their insulin pumps and show the technology that they use, because they were that kid in a lot of cases. Max was the kid wondering if he could play. So now he brings out kids to show them that they can play hockey. Some of them are less public about it. There was a guy that played for the Monsters who I can't find anything on the internet about him having diabetes, but I was at a season ticket holder dinner and the player at my table said, "Oh, did you know so-and-so was also diabetic?" Had no idea, but now I've got 2 of his jerseys from the Monsters in the collection because I got, the inside info from one of his teammates. Team anymore at that point. So it wasn't something I could verify with him, and he doesn't have it on his social media.
Interesting, though. I mean, it's just not something, because even I was telling my wife about this before we recorded. I just who I was having on, and she found that so interesting, and just that it's not a thing you would necessarily think about or come across. But like you said, you're type 1, so that's a way to connect with these guys, and your love of hockey.
Yep, it's just it got me into a hobby that I wouldn't have had really otherwise. I'd be buying Monsters jerseys still, but I don't think of that as a hobby in the same way, right? It's the games that I go to and the guys that I meet, and this is different. This has gotten me into a hobby. I've met people. I get the opportunity to talk to you guys. Paul, we talked about Eric Sandholm. There's 2 of us in the hobby who collect diabetic players. Without this, that's another person I wouldn't have met. So it's great, and it's fun. It's just it's a fun part of the hobby for me to connect with them in that way.
Now, of all the jerseys you have, and you can include your Monsters ones, anything else, what's your favorite jersey?
That's a good question. The ones behind me, I'm pretty partial to. The Admirals is Corey Conacher won the Calder Cup in that jersey. I was at the Monsters game when the Monsters won the Calder Cup in 2016. So I do have 1 championship jersey in my collection. Bobby Clark's the only one, I think, other than that, who's won a championship, and I don't see one of his jerseys coming to my house anytime soon. I do have a Bobby Clark stick. That's my connection. I've got a stick. So it's nice to have a championship jersey. The Smashville from Cunnin, because that was through Migrate. I was able to get basically the entire uniform from the day over time. So that's another jersey though that when it came out, I thought it was awful, and it's grown on me tremendously.
And I will say that one specifically for a lot of people when they first saw it, like, but now they become very desirable.
Yep, I was horrified. I was on the pre-order list with Migrate, and I was horrified when they released it, and I thought there's no chance that I'm going to buy that jersey.
It's funny you say that because I collect Ryan O'Reilly, and I've actually joked with the Migrate guys and have joked that I really wish that they would wear that jersey because I would love to get that style and a Ryan O'Reilly jersey. Because I actually, like, same as you, when it first came out, I was like, what is this? And as a Blues fan, it's hard to like any Nashville stuff, especially when they're beating us tonight. But that one's one where I'm like, man, I'd really like Ryan O'Reilly to wear that.
I get it. Yeah, I was horrified. And there's a yellow stain on the number on the back. I couldn't figure out what it was. Reached out to the equipment manager. He said it was the Gatorade that Luke Cunnin uses. Like, it's you get the neat stories that go with it too.
Cool.
And that's fun. That's neat. That I mean, to add those extra little things to the jerseys and find out, be able to dig into and find out. What are some players that you're still after?
Oh gosh, that's a good one. Well, I've got the Kako is behind me. I've got a regular season it's inbound from Finland right now. And I checked tracking today. It's made it to Germany, so that's exciting. That I don't have. I'd like some more Chaz Redekop. He's retired though and is now coaching in Toledo. I was actually in Toledo over the weekend for a couple of games and saw him on the bench. Another one that I haven't met. I have one of his jerseys from when he played for Kalamazoo in the ECHL. I had to think. There was Taylor Voss played for a little bit. He's in Europe. It's a lot of it is more the lower level players now, the guys that didn't make it to the NHL. There's some women who've gone straight from college to Europe. They're getting harder to find.
Yeah, I'll bet for sure. Now, do you have a Max Domi one?
I do have Max Domi. Yeah, I've got. I was lucky when he played in Columbus. That was easy through Migrate. Got picked up a couple of Toronto jerseys this year. I've got Montreal. I do not have a Coyotes jersey. I have a preseason from his rookie year. So before he'd even gotten the number 16 that he wore in honor of Bobby Clark, I've got a preseason that he wore 15 before he actually made the team.
Well, hopefully you can secure one of those at some point.
That's the goal. That and a Cunnin, Minnesota. Those are both missing from the collection.
Wade or Paul, you have any questions?
No, I think it's awesome. What a great story, and it's always fun to hear how and why somebody like gets into what they collect. And I think you kind of hit the nail right on the head. It's neat the relationships that we build, and you talked about some friendships and connections you have because of this hobby. And like you said, like you'd have no real, besides just collecting Monsters jerseys and being a Monsters fan, this has allowed you to like kind of open the doors to a lot of other collectors and a lot of other people and bring some awareness to, type 1 diabetes, which I think is fantastic. So I think it's an awesome, awesome thing. And I'm so glad that you're on the show tonight.
Me too. Thanks for having me.
And so let's see, last year at the LA Expo, I met Eric for the first time. And I had no idea, the number of hockey players who had type 1 diabetes. I didn't know anyone collected them at that point, and spent quite a bit of time talking with Eric, just, absolutely great guy. And I was surprised to learn that. And now, your collection sounds really, really impressive. I love, the minor league jerseys. I put the bulk of my focus on college, with Michigan, but then, former Wolverines. But there's a challenge getting a lot of them, as you've mentioned here. So it's no, I think it's a really really cool collection. You know, I'm just starting to learn about your collection. I've seen a lot more of Eric's. He well, just because I've known Eric, you know, and it's really really it's a great collecting focus.
Now, as you started doing this, did you realize how big the hockey collecting group or hobby really was?
Absolutely no clue. Yeah, I don't think you can understand it until you get into it, right? And you start joining the group for every team, and then the group for the teams, and the women's group, and all the minor league groups. It's absolutely amazing. And you see a lot of the same names, obviously, as you go across those. But then there's also people who only exist in one or two of them, because they're not interested, right? They're, you know, they are the Monsters collector, or they're the Red Wings collector. But the number of names that are in all of them is amazing. I think we may all have too much free time, or we don't have enough free time. I'm not sure which.
We all have a little bit of a problem.
But it's a good problem to have.
It's a fun problem to have.
Yes. Now, are you getting more recognized with the type of collection you have? Or have you had other people reach out going, again, wow, I didn't know this many players were type 1 diabetic? Or have you talked to any of the diabetes groups about these kind of things, or your collection?
I've had people reach out to me. So Eric and I both, on World Diabetes Day in November every year, we'll both share our entire collections. So that's when you saw mine this year, Doc. And I've had people reach out to me. We've both had people reach out to us about, oh, my wife has type 1, or my nephew has type 1. I got an email this year from someone who'd bought a Cunnin specialty jersey because his niece had been diagnosed. So I think people recognize it in that way. It doesn't occur to them that somebody would collect them either. So then they start realizing how many players there really are out there. I am going to use it. I think if Gardner does wind up in Cleveland, I'm going to talk to the team about whether or not we could try to do a diabetes awareness night. They generally do them in juniors. They do them, you know, it's usually at lower level, but of all the specialty nights you do, you know, if we wind up with a goalie who's got type 1, I think it's an opportunity to do, you know, I know he does work in the community, so it'd be an opportunity to get him involved in the local type 1 community here.
Oh, I mean, that'd be huge, especially at the AHL level, because it'll get other teams' attention and other players' attention as well.
Sure.
I mean, that's just so cool to be able to really, again, grab a big stage and get other people that are dealing with this stuff that go, okay, because I was diagnosed, it might limit X, Y, and Z. Well, you're showing, no, you have pro hockey players that are managed this just fine.
Yeah, there are online groups that I'm active in with type 1, and a lot of times it's parents whose kids have been diagnosed. And I come across as an odd case because I was diagnosed as an adult. And like there are athletes in every sport. There's pro athletes everywhere who, you know, who have this and have reached the highest level. Max Domi's got a podcast and a book about diabetes. These guys are everywhere. They're in Major League Baseball. They're in the NFL. And, you know, if you can let parents know that their kids will be okay, I think it's a huge win.
Yeah, that there's really nothing, even with this diagnosis, there's nothing stopping you from being able to do anything and become a pro athlete.
Absolutely.
Well, again, any other thoughts on your collection, or any other really cool or unique pieces you have?
I don't know if there's any, I mean, you know, I think it's unique, the same as everybody else's collection. You know, I get excited about, I've got the first jersey that Cunnin wore in Nashville. I've got, this was the first jersey the Toronto Six wore in their short-lived history before the league was replaced. Um, yeah, it's all fun stuff for me. It's fun to research these guys and see where they are and see what I can come up with. Um, and yeah, thoughts for me. You guys get me excited about going to expos, so thanks for that because I have not been to one, and it's definitely on the agenda.
Well, I mean, there's a lot coming up, and Vegas is a beautiful city, and of course, San Jose and Nova on the East Coast. Nova wouldn't be that far for you, probably realistically for a drive out with your collection.
Probably not awful. Yeah, I think my timing is bad. I was in Detroit for Centennial stuff the week before the Detroit Expo. I'm going to be in Detroit again for opening day the week before the Vegas Expo. It seems like my timing might be crossed for the next year, but maybe by next fall I can hit Detroit or Chicago, something like that. Wouldn't be too bad.
St. Louis is October. The date's already out for that one. Gives you plenty of time to plan there.
It's true. I did see Wade put the date out.
Yeah, we're ready to go.
Nice.
Again, I think it'd be a very cool setup to see your pictures for World Diabetes Day. Were gorgeous, like you said. That's how I stumbled across it. I was just doom scrolling through my feed, and there it was. I'm like, ooh, that'll be a very fun conversation to have. Because again, we all collect jerseys. The question is why, and that is what you do is a very cool reason on why. And again, if you just collect because you like hockey, that's just as good a reason too. But some of these I say out of the ordinary, not expected ways to do it are so interesting, and a lot of people, even seasoned collectors, that might not click with them. So it's so awesome that you're able to share that with us tonight, and I appreciate you wanting to come on.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to share it.
And Paul's celebrating somebody scoring a goal or something in the background there.
Red Wings just cut the deficit 2-1 now. So
nice. Wade and I are not talking about the Blues, so you don't have to worry about that one. So we'll just go there. But again, Dana, you are welcome anytime, and I hope you continue to be able to pick up these different players and that, and expand your collection. And again, work with the monsters if that all plays out right, and if it does, please let us know. I'd love to hear how that goes.
So now I am curious, with you being a Monster season ticket holder and being a fan for so long, have you become a fan of the Blue Jackets, especially with all the Michigan kids there?
It's a secondary team for me, absolutely, because you get to know the kids a little bit when they're here. And then, I mean, it is Michigan South at this point with so many guys down there. I thought at one point I was trying to collect Monsters jerseys of Michigan kids. I've got Tyler Mott and Gavin Brindley. That's as far as I've gotten.
Oh, nice.
There's a couple, but yeah, Kent Johnson played here a couple of games. That would be nice. Blankenberg was here for a couple of games. Haven't seen those jerseys land in my house yet.
That's the key word. But yeah, no, getting the Brindley is a great pickup. I mean,
that was a warm up, so not as cool, but still, it was nice to add.
Yeah, I mean, that kid, both him and Blankenberg have really impressed me this season in the NHL, and like to see them both continue doing well. And do you collect, since being a Red Wings fan originally, do you collect any Red Wings stuff, or is it?
I've tried collecting sticks. At one point, I thought I would try to get like the 97 teams worth of sticks.
Oh, wow.
I'm way behind on that. I've got the grind line.
Nice.
I've got a Maltby jersey.
Very cool.
But there's only so far I can, spread my collecting dollars, and Red Wings jerseys are not generally cheap. So I would like to have more. I have a Koser alumni warrant. I'm looking at my wall. I'm in my office with all my Detroit stuff is in here. I have a Koser alumni game and a Maltby regular season, but those are the only jerseys.
Oh, very nice. I mean, especially, both players.
Yeah, still excellent choices.
Yeah, I did see the current Red Wings alumni jerseys for whatever game's coming up soon. They're really, really sharp looking. I wish I had a photo here to share of those, but maybe next week. But my hope is, I'd love to get one, and everyone's going to guess what I'm going to say. I really hope Fanatics is not the one who makes them. So I have no idea who makes the NHL alumni jerseys these days. So
I think it varies team to team when they do their events. We'll have to keep an eye out for you and hope they don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say something here. I actually hope they do, because I'm legitimately just waiting for the day that Paul, I just want Paul to break down, and I want to I can't wait for the moment that he actually has one.
I can.
I have a feeling at some point push is going to come to shove and it's going to happen, and I'm sorry, Paul, but I'm really excited for it.
Well, it's good to have goals.
Yeah.
So I have a photo here, the Red Wings alumni one. I don't know how easy it is to share, but it's like a holiday type sweater thing with a lot of red and white on it, with the Detroit Red Wings alumni crest in the middle, and then hockey sticks and trees.
You should be able to share it if you want to.
Let me see if I can. Yeah, can I pick out one screen to share? Just real. Let me get back to Zoom. Way too much. Yeah. There we go.
Isn't technology wonderful?
And this is that showing up at all?
Oh, there we go. Yep.
That's awesome. I can't imagine that's actually a Fanatics jersey.
Oh yeah, I mean it looks good. It can't be.
Is that they just played the alumni just played a game against the Shorzy cast. I wonder if that was the game.
Oh wow, okay. It's something Monica's found and sent me. It's like she wants one of these, but she's also afraid it might be Fanatics.
That jersey's fantastic. I love that.
They also did let me see, Pucks for Autism, the group that I skate with in St. Louis, played against the Red Wings alumni December the 8th, or actually, so just a few days ago, and they're wearing a version of those. Let me see if I can pull it up from my right thing, but they have a Pucks for Autism actually got the alumni because a bunch of them skated in their jerseys, did some neat digital stuff, but it says Detroit Red Wings alumni. Pull that back up there again, would you?
Oh, okay. Hold on. Okay,
I know in the case of the ones that the alumni are wearing for Pucks for Autism, they're actually done by 5-Hole Jersey Company. Can you blow that up at all?
I don't know,
because it looks identical, or looks very, very close to. Let me see if I can. I have too many computers in front of me.
This is almost as exciting as live debugging on the air.
It's just all the things that come up you don't think about until you start doing other stuff. Okay. But I'm pulling up the Pucks for Autism. I just put the pictures up for this, so that's how I knew it was out there.
Back to Zoom, and I blew it up some. I don't know if it's going to show up well, but let's try it.
Let's see.
It wasn't the best resolution, so I don't know.
That almost looks like the 5-Hole there, but let me share this one, Paul. Stop sharing yours just a minute. Let me share the one I have, because I'm wondering if it's the same or let me do this, because it looks identical. I just can't see the other patch on yours to see if it's the Pucks for Autism ones that they made for the alumni.
Yeah, and apologies. That's like the only.
No, that's okay. The design is extremely similar, unless the alumni sent them that look. But 5-Hole is who does the designs for all of Pucks for Autism's jerseys. They are excellent. They're good quality. So if people are wanting to get jerseys made for something, that is a great company. Wow. They're very well done. They do really, really neat designs.
Yeah, that Mickey Redmond would be a nice one to have.
Oh yeah. But I don't know all the alumni that skated, but I know there was a good amount in the Pucks for Autism people had a ball up there. I'd love to skate with the Red Wings guys.
That's a lot of AHL teams do a ton of specialty jerseys. I think the Barracuda have 6 or 7 this year. They've already had 3 so far. What I'd really like to see on more specialty jerseys is what the Chicago Wolves do every year. They always do a jersey for animal adoption, or dog adoption. I forget exactly what they term it, but I think the Barracuda in their 10 years here have only done one Pucks and Paws jersey, dog related type thing, or animal rescue. I'd love to see more teams do that, and I more autism jerseys. We get those occasionally. Not, I think Winnipeg does one every year, if I remember right, or close to every. Not one. Yeah, the Moose. Keep getting that confused.
Well, and just with like we've talked before, and Dana, like you see, and Paul, of course, you see too, with the Barracudas, the AHL, the East Coast, those lower teams can do all those specialty nights because they don't have the restrictions, and they can do a lot of fun ones. I know the Bison have done a bunch already. I know you were keeping an eye on the Peanuts ones. The Bison just did last week.
Yes.
The Peoria Rivermen, the SPHL team, does a ton of different ones because with sublimation and stuff, you can crank those out quick. It's not expensive for the teams to get them, but they auction well and can make good money for whatever they're fundraising for.
Exactly.
Well, we just saw the Peanuts ones in Toledo this past weekend. They had their Christmas for the walleye.
Did they auction those off yet?
They did. They auctioned them off after the game. Yep.
Do you recall what price range they went for?
I saw it online. The highest I think I saw was 1,500, but most of them were under $1,000.
Wow.
If I remember right.
Yeah. Our good friend Stefan in Germany collects Peanuts jerseys, along with a few other teams and stuff, a lot of Rangers and stuff. But he when I see Peanuts jerseys, I always try to pick one up for him. So, and I totally missed the Toledo one. So, unfortunately.
Plenty of other ones. But tell you what, let's do. Did you want to do something? Say anything real quick on the World Cup, Paul? I know.
Yeah,
if you want to touch on that,
people keep asking about that. So, last week we recorded on Thursday. The World Cup draw was on Friday. So and how to put it nicely, that they moved the show from Vegas to DC at the request of some higher up in the U.S. government. And the show was embarrassing. The first 2 hours or so was a lot of suits trying to be comedians, which they weren't. FIFA created a peace prize to hand to dear leader Trump, and it was embarrassing. It really the whole setup for it. I know when FIFA's supposed to not be political, they clearly were with that, but it's also like they want the World Cup to go off well, so they know who to flatter.
Sure.
After about 2 hours of that, we finally get to the draw, and it's that part was entertaining, and it was. I think some people watching it might have been confused because you had complex rules of you couldn't have like 2 teams from Europe in the same group. So when they were drawn, they had to go to a different pool. Same thing with like CONCACAF. You couldn't have 2 teams from the same one in, so they kept bypassing groups, especially when you got to the 4th pool. What we've talked about on this show is like ticket pricing and stuff for it. The games here in Santa Clara, we got an absolutely terrible draw. Real quick, Switzerland, Qatar, Austria, Jordan, Paraguay versus one of the, I believe it's one of the European teams still to qualify. Jordan, Algeria, Paraguay, Australia. So if any of you guys can name one player on any of those countries, I'd be amazed. I mean, Switzerland and Paraguay aren't bad teams, but they just don't have, anyone No, and it's so ticket pricing has already dropped from those. FIFA's now doing their final sale, and what you do is you log in, you select the games you want, and then there'll be a draw for the games. I guarantee you, if you buy any of the Bay Area ones, you will get the tickets from the draw because they are not going to sell out from this. They've lowered the pricing. I think they started at 600 earlier. Now it's 450 for good seats, 380 for Tier B, and Tier C are down to 140. I can't even see those matches keeping that value on the resale market. It's I expect to go to the bulk of those games for $100 or less.
Wow.
It's I just be shocked. It's because they do want the stadiums to be full. So now you sign into FIFA, you select the games you want, and some of the matches have gone up in prices. Like all the Brazil games went up to, I think, 700 for the good seats. England, Germany, the teams you would expect. So it's going to be interesting to see how this round of ticket sales go, and then what they have, just like you can go to Ticketmaster and buy after that. The opening match, the Category 1 tickets, Mexico, South Africa, are now $23.55 face value because FIFA's doing this dynamic pricing model.
Of course they are, because everybody wants to try that.
Yeah, and I think the most expensive game is the U.S. Paraguay opener on June 12th in LA, and that's $27.35 for Tier 1.
Jeez.
And I do expect that to sell out, and I don't know if the finals pricing is for Tier 1 $8,680 face value.
Wow.
$55.75 for Tier B, Tier C $41.85 for the finals. And yeah, that will sell out quickly, and they'll have whatever the allotment available. You'll be lucky if you win any of those if you want them. But the bulk, a lot of the matches, especially now with so many teams, I just don't see them holding value on the resale market unless you're England or Germany or Brazil, Argentina.
Yeah. Hopefully you can get some good deals and see a lot of great football. But now, since we've made everybody listen all the way through, of course, the modern technology, you can just forward to the end too to see if you won or not. And
before you go on to that, I will say for the games in Santa Clara, if I don't Uber there, I will be paying more for parking than for tickets.
Oh, jeez.
So that's my over-under for the day. So,
of course.
But now for the important stuff.
Yes. And I promise you, this is completely random. I put all the names that submitted between all the different places in the wheel. So we will do, of course, we're giving away 2 of the nameplates again. Thank you to our lovely new sponsor, Public Display of Collection. Make sure you check them out. Like I said, once we do the draw, I will reach out to the 2 winners, let Patrick know as well, so he can expect to hear from them. But we'll spin the wheel, and we'll give you the 2 names. Here comes the first one. Look at that wheel go. It's all fancy with our colors, too. Friend, oh wow! That I almost called that, and I'm glad I didn't. Sean Sullivan being the first winner, but the reason I almost said something else that was right on the line, and it moved. I mean, it's for anybody that wants to see this who's just listening to audio. Again, skip to the end of the show. You can see the video. I'll now remove Sean's name, so he cannot win twice. And now we will spin it again for the second winner. And this will be a once a month giveaway. I know we're going to do one for Christmases too, but I need to get the details from Patrick. And this is a name I am unfamiliar with. This came in actually from YouTube comment. So I will, Gary Ashlock 16 was the name, was the YouTube name. So I will reach out to them. So congratulations to Sean Sullivan and Gary Ashlock 16 off of YouTube. I will let Patrick know and let you guys know as well. Congratulations. Like I said, we will definitely do some more. We'll continue to do more of these and come up with some other things and other fun ways to do giveaways, and maybe do a secret word, or we'll find ways to make it fun and do other things. But with that, thank you for all the support, the likes, the subscribes, the following of the Dirty Laundry Game Worn Hockey Podcast Facebook page. If you have thoughts on subjects you want us to cover, if you want to come on the show or have suggestions for other guests, please reach out. We will get you on the schedule, make it work. We're going to be doing a little bit of shuffling here in the next coming weeks with the Christmas and New Year's, but there will be shows all of those times. I don't plan on taking any time off unless none of us can just lock a thing in. But again, Dana, thank you for all your time this evening. I appreciate it. It's awesome to hear how you got into this and just such a cool and different focus to a collection.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I love the show, and I was happy to be here to talk to you.
You have a fantastic evening. Wade, Paul, we will talk to everybody very, very soon. DocNoyes, and we'll talk to you next week.